Ooh, hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Starting an hour late, so the usual time. Uh, how's it going? Yeah, had to put my son, to sleep tonight. He was, he's been staying up late, and he just needed dad, I guess. So anyway, I'm still getting set up, so let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll get into what we're going to be painting tonight. It's going to be maybe a short show tonight. Whoa. Okay, we don't need to hear all that. So do that. There we go. Let's get the comment section open. And there we go. Whoa, wait a minute. Sorry. Whoa. Uh-oh. My windows are doing weird things to me. That's more like it. Okay, cool. All right. So I've got a couple of options tonight. I know I put Iron Eyes on the title of the show, but I can start painting some of the wolves that I sprayed. I probably won't though, because the miniatures are kind of, I don't know. I guess the option is I can show you guys how I spray these, or I can just finish or try to finish this Iron Eyes miniature. And I think I'm probably just going to do the latter because that is the title of the program. Okay, so and we are looking at a shorter show, but yeah, them's the breaks, I guess. Welcome to 2016. So here is let me show you guys the box art for Iron Eyes. So this is a promo mini for Wrath of Kings. Iron Eyes is her name. She's actually Irene in the fluff for Wrath of Kings, which I'm reading right now. I've been reading a little bit of the fluff each night before I go to sleep. It helps kind of just put me out. But that's not really a statement of the quality of the fluff. It's actually, if you want my honest opinion, I'm actually quite enjoying the fluff for Wrath of Kings, and I don't know, I think it's pretty good. There's so much about this game that I had basically underestimated when I got my Kickstarter, when I started playing it, and really I am really impressed with Wrath of Kings now. So expect to see a little bit of more of that on this channel. Right. So here is where the model is at. Let's try to mount her on this so that we can just do some painting. So need a little more light here. Trying to get you guys a little more light so you can see what I'm working on. So you can see her face is pretty much done. Her skin is pretty much done. Got a little bit of effect on the blades there. But there's still, still plenty of work to do on the miniature. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with the box art, which kind of has her in blue and blue-gray armor, or if I'm going to do my own thing. Now, if I did my own thing, I would actually paint her purple and black to kind of match the Zeddy. So I'll probably end up doing that because I think that's a cooler color scheme. So yeah, let's go ahead and get that going. Okay, so let's find some appropriate colors for leather because I'm going to paint the leather inner parts first. Well, actually, she has leather. So she has kind of these leggings here, and I think the major colors here will be purple there. The leggings will probably be black. The inner parts there will be, I guess we'll do those black also. And then I've got some areas to do gold, like the hilts of the blades. But looks like purple is going to be one of the main colors here. So why don't we just start with that? So we'll start with some purple. we'll get to painting. Very rainy day today, Southern California. Also, it's been, also we had a little earthquake this morning, which is interesting. So we had some earthquake. We had an earthquake this morning. We had a tornado watch in the middle of the day, and we've had rain the entire day. So some very unusual weather here in Southern California. So I guess that's about as interesting as I'm going to get tonight, guys. And I'll ramble for a bit too while we're here. But for now, let's get this purple going. And if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to enter those in the comment section. Or let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. It's my usual line here. So while I figure out really what's going to be purple, probably just as easy to base coat the entire model purple. So I'm going to start laying down this purple. Gotta put it on the inside of the cloak too, so I gotta paint. This is like a really awkward angle here to paint. To paint back in that crevice. Now, one thing I'll say is overall I'm impressed with the quality of the models for Wrath of Kings, especially considering the money I paid into the Kickstarter. You get a lot of miniatures for the I went in for the $200 pledge, which gave me all 5 factions, and it ends up being like less than $1 per miniature. So bear that in mind when I issue this Slate Grievance here. So yeah, I was getting a lot of miniatures for the money, but I wasn't really expecting the miniature quality to be as good as it was on a lot of the sculpts, and I'm talking about the rank and file stuff. For example, okay, the Zeddy War Dancers, there are only 3 sculpts for the War Dancers. That said, I felt that the quality of those 3 sculpts are pretty good. Especially for like a rank 1 rank and file troop. Same with the Shale Han that I painted, the Dragon Legion. There's not a lot of sculpts there, but the individual sculpt is pretty good. And also for Nasir, which was the first army I painted. That said, Iron Eyes here is a promotional model. She's an add-on, and I gotta say, while I don't think the sculpt itself is bad, I was in this case expecting this sculpt to be of higher quality than the rest of the stuff I got, and it turns out, in my opinion, this is slightly lower quality than the rest of the stuff I got, and I'll explain why. I do feel like this sculpt isn't quite as clear as it could be. It's got mold lines, it's got gaps. It has, it has all the makings of a regular like production model, but it's not. It should be the promo model. It should be a higher quality. And so what I'm saying is it's not a bad model. It's just not quite the level of good I was expecting, for an add-on, for a promo. There's a comment here and I can't read it. Hold on one second. Color green, look my video. Oh, Menzie. Hi, I have a gem found in Germany. Color green. Look my video. I don't know. I'm not sure. There seem to be a few different ideas there, all presented at once. Thanks for tuning in, Menzie, but I don't quite know what you're talking about. I do want to thank you for tuning in, though. I hope you are, into the miniature painting hobby, or maybe you're checking it out for the first time, and you just randomly ended up on my feed here. In which case, welcome. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. Be more than happy to explain what we're doing here. So yeah. Also, I opened up the Twilight Knight and painted her on this program, and that was actually a really good quality sculpt. I thought that the Twilight Knight was a tremendous sculpt for this line, so I was pretty happy about that one. This one here does not, in terms of its quality, it does not line up with the Twilight Knight, and that's a bit of a shame if you ask me. I have to the other one that I need to open is the Ancient King. So I haven't opened that box yet, but I plan to very soon. Mainly because I'm interested in what are the stats for the Ancient King? Is he a I'm wondering, is he a specialist? Is he does he count as a specialist, or does he count? Can you actually take him as a special class leader? I'm really curious to know. I don't know if I get curious enough, I can go grab him out of the box and we can unbox him live on air here and find out together. But I don't know. So right now I'm just putting this purple down. So yeah, this Iron Eyes, I guess, will be a little more. She'll match the the female vampire house more, even though she is a human. That said, if you're reading the fluff, you know that the quote unquote the gift is talking to her, so she may very well end up as a vampire. Occasionally, the female Goritzi who gain the gift become werewolves, but that's fairly rare. The way it usually goes is in the land that they're from, Taloria. If you are a male who receives the gift, you'll most likely turn into a werewolf. If you're a female, you will most likely turn into a vampire. And there are some exceptions, though, like Gregorio. He is a male vampire for Goritzi, and that's pretty rare. So lots of purple going down right now. The angles with the cloak are a little difficult. I may end up switching to a smaller brush just to be able to get back there. Or I have to get back there and not mess up the job I did on the flesh previously. There we go. Okay. So I don't quite know where the black is going yet, so everything is going to be purple for a minute. and we'll figure out where the black is going. I'm also going to make my iron eyes a little more blonde. I mean, it's just a little cooler that way. So definitely the cloak and that stuff will be purple. So the cloak will be purple, which means the leggings are probably not going to be purple. But the skirt here will be purple. The leggings are probably going to be black. The gloves will probably be black or brown. I could also, I mean, that's a thought too. I could go brown with the, especially with the leather. But I think if she's going to match the vampires, she should have some black. Okay, and I'm going to paint in this right here. Should be purple. It's a pretty simple color scheme. Not much to this miniature, honestly speaking. All right. So let's let that purple dry for a bit. And while we're waiting for the purple to dry, I might as well paint. I'm going to paint in a little bit of the base here. So we're going to paint. I need a dark brown here. So I'm going to go leather brown in the ground, the creases of the ground. So we did play a game of Wrath of Kings last night. I taught Damien a little bit about the game. We played through a skirmish level game, and hopefully he had fun. I kind of rushed teaching him because I had finished teaching a couple of people Guild Ball previously, and I was like, I want to play some Wrath of Kings too. So we went through it pretty quick, but he picked up the game pretty quick, and this is a simple game mechanically. So, and he did say that he preferred this kind of game because it had him thinking about formations, whereas a lot of the other skirmish games I play, you're thinking more about just individual model interactions. This game plays a higher model count in general, and you have stuff like combined activations and that kind of thing. So he at least he explained that he liked that. Got a little bit of purple. I'm just looking for spots of white here that I can paint purple. Back there, purple. On the witches, what I did was I actually airbrushed them. I airbrushed the purple on. This model I did almost no airbrushing on. I'm going to break out a little. I need a brush with a finer point so I can get into some of those areas. What did I do with that good brush? Here we go. David O'Connell. Hi, all. Hey, what's up, David? Welcome to the show. See, I'm painting up some Iron Eyes for us from Wrath of Kings. So yeah, Guild Ball and Wrath of Kings, I know I mentioned at the end of the year, the last feed we did, that I was hoping to play more of those games in 2016. And so we opened up our gaming with those two games specifically. That isn't to say that I'm going to abandon the other games that I'm playing. I'd still be playing a lot of Relic Knights. I'll still be playing Batman. But I wanted to include these games as well. Guild Ball, I think, is just going to be a popular game. I don't think there's really much that's going to change that. All you really need to do for Guild Ball is just play it. Play it in front of people. Play it in front of gamers. Gamers will, they will take to that system. It has a lot of appealing mechanics, and the miniatures are good. It's a little expensive. That's like one of the main criticisms I hear for Guild Balls. It's expensive per miniature, but it's not for the game. Per mini it's expensive, but when you consider that you only need 6 miniatures for a team, then it becomes really cheap. Then you do the little bit of math, and you're like, okay, so $100 and I have a full team for just about any faction. And then you come back and you still want to come back and add your guild miniatures to that. All right, I need basalt gray. So right now we're blocking off the major colors in the miniature. So the way I've been basing my Goritsi, actually, the way I've been basing all of my Wrath of Kings is virtually the same. They all come in these deep well bases that are really cool from the aspect of, you can do the potential of stuff that you can do in a round-lipped base. It's cool. From the practicality standpoint of, I just, I need to do like base stamping, or I need to do, something a little faster to do a base. It's a little annoying. So what I do is I break out the trusty cork, and I drop a piece of cork in the base, and then I fill up the rest with sand and call it a day. And the only thing that's different is how I paint the rock and, or the cork and the sand. And then, if I add tufts or anything to it, like if I add, for Shalehan, I did flowers. So I think I have them on like more sandstone looking rocks with white and yellow flowers. For the Nasir, I believe they're all gray. They're on like darker gray rocks with like kind of dead looking vegetation. I did like the really dead grass on there. And then for these, I'm painting them, kind of a standard slate gray with the earth below. But then I do just a little bit of snow effect on them. It's not much. It's just a tiny little bit of snow. Let's see. Guild Ball seems to be taking off here in Australia. I've still yet to give it a go. Yeah, Guild Ball is like, that game is just, exploding in popularity. So, like I was saying, there's really not much to do there other than break it out and play it. I have full confidence that that game is going to take off here in SoCal. There's plenty of people already playing it. You know, I show off the game a couple of times, and they're all, you know, it's people already ordering teams, and so it's just going to be a thing. Here comes our night crew. Let's see, Troy Perez. I kind of like the deep well bases. Brush for Hire makes base fillers for them. I got the Deep Sea Cthulhu ones. Yeah, I did see the base fillers, and it's. I think if I were dealing with the smaller model count game, I would buy something like that. For Wrath of Kings, though, you know, with the amount of models I'm going to end up painting, I need to do something a little more economical. Let's see. I managed to grab some stamps from Happy Seppuku. They go well with deep bases. Yeah, Phil has I think Happy Seppuku base stamp. So and he's using those to good effect. And of course, Greenleaf Terrain hops in with their East Side. What's up, Adam? Welcome to the show. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. I guess I'll block off the hair. Oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, I got a couple of little ties in the hair to do. Actually, maybe I shouldn't block off the hair until the model is. Yeah, screw it. I'll do it. So yeah, so Iron Eyes has brown hair on the studio, or I'm sorry, they don't have studio art for this, do they? It's just the box, the packaging has her in brown hair, and I will go with a little bit more of like a blonde hair because she's more matching the Zeddy vampires. So at least the way I'm painting her, she's gonna have that good and plenty color scheme. That's what I'm nicknaming the color scheme for my Team Edward army as Good and Plenty. So yeah, I know it's not the most original idea, but basically the Goritzi army is the Twilight army. And it's divided into, you know, the vampires and the werewolves, and so you have the Edward and Jacob teams. And I actually plan on like breaking out my list that way. So I'm going to have a Team Edward list that's, you know, vampire built. Then I'll have a Team Jacob list, which is werewolves. And I'm just not that interested in the werewolves. I feel like the werewolf army has some really, really cool stuff going for it mechanically, but as aesthetically, I prefer the vampires. It'll be fun to paint the wolves, you know. That should be fun. But oh wow, that did not quite go as I expected it to right there. That's a bummer. So yeah, the wolves have a lot of cool stuff. Like from a gameplay standpoint, it's a little silly not to mix them, but it's like, you know, it's thematic if you play one or the other, or if you, I guess these armies are designed so that you lean a little bit more towards one of the troop types, because the starter box gives you 2 troop types, as well as the Kickstarter. It's, you know, you get 2 troop types per faction, and there are 3 troop types per faction actually. So the 3rd troop type you normally have to pick up. You would have to buy separately. And so far with like with Shalehan, I definitely wanted the Lotus Warriors, so I went ahead and ordered Lotus Warriors. For these guys, I don't know if I want the Ravenscar Mercenaries, I've heard bad stuff about them. Listening to podcasts and videos and stuff. They're like, yeah, the Ravenscrow mercenaries aren't really worth it because you can do what they do with the vampire special character and all that kind of stuff, which is, I'm sure, is true. But I don't know. Those minis do look pretty cool. And the idea of a vampire and a human army, like a co-ed vampire human army for Mike Rizzi, to me seems a little more appealing than the, straight vampire werewolf army. Would be kind of cool to have some like just generic basic humans mixed in that have a little bit more toughness than the vampires do. So, okay. I guess now we're going to let's start putting in the black. I hope that purple has dried enough. I think it has. So I can block out the black. Okay. So what are all you guys working on tonight? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you would. You don't have to. You can just sit here and listen to me ramble. Totally acceptable thing to do, I suppose. Okay, so I'm going to paint this little bordering around the boob armor in black. Somebody's texting me. I should probably go look at that. Because it might be my wife. She had some problems getting the kid to sleep the past couple of nights. She's done with her winter break and back to teaching school, which is kind of a bummer. And but while she was on winter break, the little kid got to stay up a bit later than he normally does, so he's a little bit off of his schedule. All right, let's go get it. Where'd my phone go? I don't think I have to get out of my chair. I think I can roll my chair all the way over here and reach it. Here we go. No, look at that. Nothing. My phone was just yelling for no good reason. Fine. Okay, so I guess I can do these. Bracers in the black, and then I'll do these leggings also in black. So let's do the leggings right now. Okay, it's about 100 degrees here, so just trying to stay cool. Should be working on bone minis for Pathfinder. I do like a lot of the Bones minis. I like their terrain. The dumpster is one of my favorite things. I got one of those for Batman. I think if the leggings are black, and I also think the panty, or the little panty needs to be black as well. So let's paint that in. Okay. I'm liking this scheme better than the blue Ravenscar scheme that she's shown wearing. They have her like dressed like a Ravenscar mercenary on the package. She's basically the same color scheme as the Ravenscar, but I want to do her more like the vampires. So yeah, I'm really starting to like this game. It's rapidly becoming my go-to fantasy skirmish game. So it's competing for me. It's competing directly with Eldorado. Eldorado has a lot of really cool things going for it, and I do like Eldorado. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Eldorado has been a perennial favorite for me. This game, though, this game fills a similar niche, but slightly different in that this is more. Eldorado can sometimes, with its interactions and everything, can sometimes start to hurt your brain. This game is like quick carnage. You know, it's some people call it War Machine Light. Some people call it, that's a criticism. Some people call it Age of Sigmar done right, and that's a compliment. I have never played Age of Sigmar. I have played War Machine, so I can kind of see where they might call it War Machine Light, but I don't think that that's quite apt in this case. I don't think that's quite what Wrath of Kings is. I just think Wrath of Kings is it's a solid skirmish system that plays at a higher model count. For the skirmish systems, it does play at around the same model count that Warmahordes plays at, but it's so much faster. The action is so much faster in this game than Warmahordes. Once you get the system, and it took me a little bit to understand the system and see really where they put the game. What I mean is, when you first look at this system, you go, okay, it's a single D10 system. You roll against an opponent's defense chart, and that's it. And either you do something to him or you don't. And you're like, okay, well, it's single resolve system. How deep can that game really be? And at first, it's just not going to feel that way. You're just going to be looking at a chart with a bunch of symbols on it and go, well, why do I need all these symbols? Couldn't you just go miss, 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 hit? And then you see abilities that that affect your your defense chart, like affect your target's defense chart. Like you can start to convert, armor into other things. You can start to convert parry. You can there are different types of attacks that will bypass parry or bypass armor, bypass, or that won't let you dodge, that kind of thing. And that's where the depth starts to happen. That's where it starts to happen, is that manipulation of the hit chart. But it really plays a little more it plays a little more deeply than that, and you really don't get that until you've played enough, and then the cards, the information on the cards starts to jump out at you, and you start to formulate ideas of what you can do with this particular unit or that, and how to play the game. Um, that's when all this starts to seem a little bit more powerful and more meaningful, and then you really start to appreciate the depth of the game a little bit more. Simultaneously, though, you can appreciate how quickly things resolve, and how, in my opinion, I think one of the best things they've done with this game, the designers of this game did, was, in my opinion, they really understand the pace of a skirmish game. They understand the flow of a game. The game has good timing. It's slick. It it can take you through what other games do in a very clunky, inefficient manner. It can take you through that, and it doesn't feel like once you get it, it doesn't feel like you've been robbed of, critical tactical elements. At first, when you start playing it, you do feel like you've been robbed of critical tactical elements. But then as things start to make more sense to you, you start to understand the importance of things on those cards, then it'll jump out at you. Okay, time for some comments. Troy Perez, has anyone heard of or tried out Tor Miniatures Relics? They're adding a Cthulhu-themed faction, and it has me interested. I have not played Relics. I've known about this game for at least 3 years now, 2 or 3 years. I've seen some gameplay videos of it. I've seen my brother played it, tried it out at one point. He didn't seem that impressed by the mechanics, but I don't know how deep they jumped into the game. It just never really, that game never really took off down in this area. And it did have some, like, quote unquote official backing. Some internet famous people were supposed to promote it, and they didn't do it. So I don't know. I see the miniatures. I mean, it looks cool. It kind of has that, like, Stitch Punk theme to it, which I think is cool. But I think at this point, I don't see myself looking at that game. Sup, folks? Say what's up, Canvas. So, Canvas Man, what are you painting? You're probably still doing War Machine, right? Hopefully. Okay, so oops. What else needs to be black on this miniature? But yeah, I first played a couple of games of this, and it seemed easy. Like, I read through the rules. I'm like, okay, I get that. I got the group activation versus solo activation, yada, yada, yada. And then we played a couple of games. We played a couple of intro games, and we just weren't paying a close enough attention to stuff. And it was like, okay, I just roll my dice, and either you live or you die, whatever. And it wasn't until very recently where Phil and I got together, and he read the rule book. Well, here's the issue. I'm just gonna bitch right now about gaming sometimes. Gaming sometimes with me is a blessing and a curse. I think it's a curse most of the time. But anyway, so when I game with folks, a lot of times I am the instigator. I like to bring the new systems, and we play out the new systems, and I'll have 2 factions ready to go, and all this stuff. And I'm usually the only person that owns a rule book. Okay, so because I'm usually the only person that owns a rule book, and usually the first person that owns models, if I'm bringing the game, I'm going to be the only person there that knows the game, or at least has seen the rule book or started to read some rules. These other guys, the other guys that I'm gaming with, are trying to learn the game, but they, this may be the first time even laying eyes on a rule book. So essentially, we go by, what little I may have read before we start playing, and with only one set of eyes that have scanned the rules, we're going to get a lot of stuff wrong. We're gonna overlook a whole bunch of stuff, right? That's usually what happens in my group because we play games that at the time that we're playing them, there's not a lot of info out on them, and because like I said, I'm usually the early adopter, and I don't. I spend as much time. Well, no, that's not true. I paint all this stuff and get that done, but I don't spend a lot of time in the rules. So what that means is, our first games are just sloppy and we miss stuff, and we don't really know anything till about game 3 or 4 most of the time. And that's what happened with this game. Is we tried it out a couple times, and based on our really poor understanding of the game and just kind of our brain, our oversimplification of the rules, we missed it. We missed the game. The game like went by us, and we didn't even notice what this game really was or what it's about. And so we were like, okay, it just seems like a really, really simple skirmish game, and it's got that quick D10 system, and you do this, and you hope to get lightning bolts, and you hope to remove models. And it's true. That is essentially what you're doing. You're running up, you're hitting stuff, you're consulting charts, and then you're usually removing models because stuff dies in this game really, really quickly. The first part, it does. It's like a frantic War Hordes, right? And actually, that's kind of what I like to play. The first turn of this game and War Hordes is usually just kind of jockeying for position, right? Stuff is running up, you're getting stuff in place. Second turn is the inevitable usually second turn. Your lines will clash. That's where the initial punching begins, and then the rest of the game from there um, is usually like for War Hordes. For me, it felt more like a shoving match. It was taking longer for stuff to die. You had feet turn, and I'm not trying to criticize War Hordes too much because I do like War Hordes. I just don't like I don't like the manner in which it's played most of the time. So it becomes a shoving match. You're not, and you're just kind of pushing against each other. This game, once that initial clash happens, once the lines hit, models just start dying quick. You just start removing stuff, and you're playing to remove instead of gain victory points. You're playing to remove morale. So the game has this really fun kind of like a countdown feel to it, right? And what I think is cool is usually what happens is usually around the third or fourth turn of the game is when the first player hits 0 morale, because you start completing objectives right around turn 3, or if you're Goritzy, sometimes you can start completing objectives turn 2, and those objectives are what really puts a ding on the opponent's morale. And so someone turn 3 or turn 4 hits 0 VP, and then the pressure's on them. It's like, okay, the game, that both players know that the game is going to end, and it's up to that other player to try to outscore in that turn. And the game has this real like countdown intensity to it, which isn't like, it's not painful. It's fun. It's like, okay, oh, the score keeps going down, models keep flying off the table as the conflict gets bloodier and bloodier, and then you have some that sneak past and complete objectives. Suddenly one of the players is at 0 morale, and they know that their only chance at this point is to outscore. And so the game grows this little intensity in terms of your tactics and stuff, and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what chance realistically do I have? What can I do? And then the game's over. And usually, it's been our experience that the games have not been horribly lopsided. They're usually pretty close. If when by the time somebody hits 0, the other guy usually only has a very small amount of morale left. So it becomes a very close game. It becomes a game of optimizing those last few activations and trying to complete things in a reasonable amount of time. So the game has incredible pacing to it. I also like the fact that deployment is a part of the mobility of your army, because models deploy at different parts of your deployment zone. Some deploy further up than others. That gives them both a speed and a deployment advantage. In other words, because the way this works is you deploy from the back of the field moving up. So for example, these Goritsi, the Zeti War Dancers, deploy really, they're fast and they deploy really far up. So that's a double, hit on the speed there, because they're fast moving, meaning they're maneuverable, but they also have that deployment speed in that they're going to deploy after most other like rank 1 troops deploy, because those rank 1 troops on the other side of the board are going to deploy further back on their deployment zone, while these vampires would deploy further forward. So they have that speed advantage and the maneuverability advantage, and I just think that's really cool. Anyway, let's see. Canvas, nothing much. Playing too much Fallout 4. Cool. I am glad. If I was a video gamer, I really wouldn't have time to do any of this stuff. So I feel somewhat fortunate that I'm no longer really playing any video games. All right. Anyway, let's do a little bit of a highlight on the purple. This model has a very, very basic color scheme. You can see I hardly did anything to it. It's because started late. We're not going to have much of a feed tonight. It's, I'm still going to go to bed around the same time. I'm just going to mix this up. In other news, so I treated myself this holiday to a little gift for me, and you guys may know that I really like miniature carrying cases. I like storage options for miniatures, because in this hobby you end up accumulating so many that you have to figure out some kind of a storage strategy for all your stuff. And so last year, the biggest case I had was the KR Kaiser 4 case. Okay, this thing is about the size of a mini fridge, and you put 4 KR cases in it, and it's gigantic. And it's awesome that you can carry so many cool things. Well, one of the very first comments I had when I got mine was, hey, you know what would make this better is if you could throw some straps on the back, because this thing is like a mini fridge. And so KR has done that. They went ahead and made a KR Backpack 4. I'm a big fan of the KR Backpack 2, and for those of you guys that aren't that are playing skirmish games and don't need to carry too much around on you, the Backpack 2 is quite possibly, in my opinion, one of the best miniature carrying cases flat out, like in the market, period. That thing has done me so well over the years. And most of the time, I'm good just filling out the slots. Like, okay, here's the games I'm going to play this evening. That means I put this case and this case in my backpack too, and we're good to go, right? And that's how it worked most of the time. Lately, though, I've needed to have 3 or sometimes even 4 miniature cases with me because it's not necessarily the minis. Sometimes I'm carrying terrain, and so I have my portable terrain is also built along it's configured along a KR case size. So if I'm bringing a set of terrain for Relic Knights or whatever, I make sure it fits in a KR case. That way I can just break out units and drop in what I need into my backpack, into my Kaiser 4 or what have you. So now that they have the backpack 4, now I get all of that. I get the option of up to 4 cases, and I'm still on my same KR system, so I can just swap in and out based on what my needs are. And so it's going to be a good pack for like conventions when I'm running games, that kind of stuff. I can throw my terrain in there and have most, if not all of it, on my back. The other major advantage I see with the Backpack 4 over the Kaiser 4 is that it's not you don't always have to carry 4 KR cases on you. It's actually the main chamber of the backpack holds 3 KR units, and it's that 4th unit is inserted in an expandable spot, kind of like on the Backpack 2, where you have the main chamber holds 1 KR case, and then you have the expandable option to put the second one in. Same concept, and I love that concept because being able to go from 1 case to 2 case was awesome. Like I said, sometimes you only need the 1 case, and then I would even use that expandable compartment sometimes to just put extra rule books, put prize support, put all kinds of stuff. I've put clothes in there one time, and that worked out great. So now with the Backpack 4, you have a default 3 case, and you have that option for that 4th case. Sometimes you just need three things. So now I have all the options basically between these 2 backpacks. I can go from 1 to 4 KR cases on backpacks. If I only need 2 cases, I stay with the backpack 2. If I need up to 4, then I go to the backpack 4, and it's really cool. Also, the other thing I'll point out with the Backpack 4 over the Kaiser 4 is that the additional storage is better on the new Backpack 4. So you get to store more rule books, that kind of thing. I noticed with my Kaiser 4, the storage I have on the Kaiser 4 isn't significantly better than the storage I have on my Backpack 2. And that was kind of a bummer because it's like, yeah, now I can carry, for example, I can carry Wrath of Kings, Relic Knights, Arena Rex, Eldorado. I can carry all those things, but I only have space for the rule books of, say, 2 or 3 of those games. I can't put all 4 rule books in there. In this case, I can. I'm still terrified though if this is gonna break my back. Still scared. Does this? Yeah, you can put all this stuff on your back, but are you going to die? is what I would like to know. So we'll be finding that out soon enough. I'll know if if it's a bad idea to put all that stuff on your back. Part of me is telling me, yeah, that's going to be a bad idea, but I gotta try it anyway. I'm just so happy. Do me a what it might end up, what I might end up doing is I may end up like staying with more on the backpack, staying with the lighter games, you know, the plastic and resin games mostly, and I'll probably limit myself to only one heavy case in that bag. You know, like if I have to do metal miniatures, I may only do one case of metal miniatures, or even less than one case. Because one of the other things I picked up, which is really cool, I'll show you here in a minute. I'm just gonna do this highlight on the purple. One of the other things I picked up, which was really cool, is the quarter-sized case for KR. So it's basically, you know, 1/4 of a regular KR case, and it will hold about 36 miniatures in it. You can, I guess the max you could put in it would be 50. If you had 50 tiny little 25 millimeter troops, you could do that. But who does that anymore? You know, games, they don't even make, look at the average Space Marine, how big that's become. And so those old 25 mil slots aren't useful for a whole lot of stuff in the modern miniature game world. You might be able to put historical miniatures in there for like stuff like Frostgrave or Saga, that kind of stuff, because those models come on smaller bases. But even something like Infinity, which is a slightly smaller scale, you're not going to be able to fit in those chambers most of the time. I think I was able to put some old Infinity miniatures on those, but they keep getting bigger and bigger. Like that new Achilles is a huge looking model. So I upgraded in part because I'm probably, you know, for Wrath of Kings, I'm just going to understand Wrath of Kings for what it is. Wrath of Kings is a super fun game that just doesn't have its due, and probably won't get its due unless something significant changes with the advent of that 2-player starter kit. Maybe the 2-player starter kit is really the shot in the arm that the game needs to have a little bit more exposure, but I don't know. Anyways, because my Kickstarter was such a good value, I've decided, and I gave away my Hadros, but I've decided for the most part, I'm going to keep most, if not all of it, and I'm just going to paint my way through it. And that way, you know, if people want to play Wrath of Kings with me, I have this stuff. They don't need to buy yet another game to game with me. They can just borrow my army. And this is the kind of game where you can do that, you know? You don't need to like keep your set for crazy customization or whatever. You can just put together a list really quickly, because the game has some very definite guidelines for how you configure your lists. So you can do that part of it real quick. The game is really easy to learn, and you can pick that up. And you can have a good, fun, enjoyable game, even if you're just borrowing somebody's army and you understand the core mechanics of the game. So for me, the plan is I'm probably just going to keep, you know, most, if not all, of what I have left. That would be the 4 other factions. So I'm obviously keeping Shaelhan. That's going to be my main faction. And then, you know, in order would be Goritzi, which I'm painting now. And then probably Technes, the pig people, and then finally Nasir. I'm considering selling my Nasir army, but right now, there's not enough people playing it. Like I could sell that Nasir army on eBay, and and be fine. It probably would cover the cost of my Kickstarter pledge, and that's cool. That was the original plan, was just to buy it, paint it up, and sell it off. Right? I was looking at it more like an investment. But now that I actually like the game, I'm just gonna keep it. And I would sell the Nasir and even the Goritsi and the Technies if I had local players that are like, hey, I really want to get into the game. And it's advantageous to me because I sell them a fully painted army that I get to face off against, and just make sure, and that also means I'll have a player base. Let's see. Game needs more models. I love the models, and they're slowly releasing more stuff, but it can still use some more variety. Yeah, for sure. For sure, this game could use more variety. Here's where we're at so far, by the way. Okay, so it looks like there's some more brown to be painted here in this. She's got these like straps here on the underside of her bodice or corset. The game does need more models, and I found online that there are a lot of positive reviews on the game. There's even some folks that are doing semi-regular podcasts on it. So who knows? Maybe the game does turn around. I think it has. Right now, it's looking like a healthier game than Relic Knights, and I love Relic Knights. But let's face it, I'm going to play Relic Knights with a select few people around me until at some point we start to see some real penetration into a newer market of gamers. The established gaming crowd really isn't taking to Relic Knights, and some of that is because of poor experiences with the Kickstarter. Some of it is because of dissatisfaction with model quality. Some of it is because they just ended up not liking the style of game that Relic Knights is. So, at least amongst this established gamer community, I don't think that Relic Knights is really going to be doing any better than it is. The only way Relic Knights could come back is if you have an influx of new players, people outside of the hobby that are coming in, usually fans of I would think fans of anime, fans that play or people that play card games that want to try a miniatures game. That's where really the growth of Relic Knights could be. A game like this, like Wrath of Kings, this is more like the already established crowd is going to like this game. People that are already playing skirmish games, that are already playing miniatures games, are going to like this game. All right, let's give our purple here a wash, and then I can get onto the hair. Troy, I didn't know. Are you playing Wrath of Kings currently or no? If I'm considering showing the game off locally, maybe not in an official sense. I don't know. We'll see. But just to try to get, a player or two nearby me, it would be good. The miniature gaming crowd near me can be difficult to get into games, and some of them, some of the meta around here are I'll just say not people you want to game with. I'll just be straight with you. We were talking about that not just my immediate group of gamers, but other gamers in our area. They're like, yeah, my problem with the meta in this store or this store, and it's all local stores to me, is that the people there are really annoying. The games are fine, but the people there can get really annoying. So, and I'm like, and we're like, yeah, that is kind of the knock on our immediate surroundings. So I don't know if I will be able to find like a cool person to play this game with locally. I'm just being honest. I don't know. Okay. Man, my highlight there is just it's just too sharp. Not enough of a transition there. Maybe I can like wet blend it. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of working. Whoa, a little too much wet blending there. All right, I played my first game, but some friends got into it, so I bought a bunch of psychotic babies to try it out with. Oh, you're doing the Danai. I've never seen the models. How are the models? Do you have slow play gamers or power gamers? What kind of bad gamers? Yes, I have both. Got a lot of power gamers locally. A lot of power gamers. But then we also have a lot of people that just for whatever reason, we'll just say maybe they're not the most what's the word? Socially attuned people, and they just get distracted, and then they want to talk about other things, and they don't focus in on the game, and it's just not a good experience. I'll just put it that way. It's just gaming out here can often not be a good experience, and it's sad. LA, San Diego, I love going to San Diego and gaming with the guys down in San Diego. A lot of cool people down in there. I know you met a bunch during Kingdom Con, Troy. So a lot of really cool people in San Diego. Some cool people in LA, not quite as many. The scene isn't quite as fun as it is in San Diego, but Orange County, man, a lot of people talk about the sad state of gaming in Orange County. So I have my immediate group, which are they're good guys. Some of them have to travel to get to me, and I feel I feel like kind of indebted to those guys for doing that. For example, Mark comes in; he'll come and game with me frequently, and Mark is coming down from LA, the LA area, so he gets down here, almost every week. So, if Mark tells me, "Hey, I want to play Batman," I'm playing Batman with him because he's making the effort to come all the way out here. I don't want him to feel like he's come all the way down here to play games that he doesn't like. So if he wants to play Batman, Anima Tactics, or any kind of that stuff like that, I'm down. Like as long as it's a game that I can remotely enjoy, and I do really like gaming with Mark. So that's cool. Phil, I don't get to see, but like a handful of times during the year. So, and the games that Phil and I have in common are more like Saga. We like we Saga, Arena Rex, and now this game. We do play Relic Knights together occasionally, but it's we play mostly like the skirmish games. He's gonna get into Guild Ball. I think I'm pretty sure Mark will get into Guild Ball as well. Infinity is one that we play, but I'm just not a big fan of the game. But I'll play it with the guys because it's, they're fun. I think bottom line is those guys are fun to game with. So I don't mind playing a game that isn't quite as fun for me, as long as you have fun company. And I think that's really one of the issues with my immediate area is it's harder to find fun company. Now, there are other really great guys that I like to game with. It's just like Phil, like Marty, Gabe, those guys that they're super fun to game with. It's just geographically we're challenged. We're all kind of spread out. So let's see. The models are okay. They're easy to put together. Still need to paint them up. They look great. Cool. Killer babies. It does sound really interesting. All right, so now let's get on to the hair. We're going to do the hair, and I'm going to highlight a little bit of the gold areas. I hate that I have to reach like over the light for the camera, because then the whole thing has to basically refocus. So yeah, we're going to do a lighter haired Iron Eyes here. I guess that's to symbolize her becoming more vampire-like, and therefore your hair starts to head towards a white color as you become more and more of a vampire. At least that's kind of how I understand it. She got a big old hoop earring right there. This might be too light. I may need to mix this with nah, it's fine. She'll just be a blonde. Painting these models blonde is a safe bet for me, mainly because if I don't like it, it's really, really easy to go to, brunette, redhead, black hair, and consequently from black hair, you could go to gray hair. So blonde is the easiest way. Going from any of those other colors to blonde is harder. So that's kind of why I pick blonde as my default color. Felt like I really, with the skin and face done, felt like all I really did here was just kind of color in the model. Which actually, that is really all I've done tonight. But that's okay. We started an hour late, so. But yeah, I know next year, or going into this year, I don't know for sure, but my hunch is Guild Ball will be a big game. Like, Guild Ball could threaten the other games that are in the number 3 spot, or jostling for position in the number 3 spot for hobby miniature games. So I'm not including pre-painted miniatures like X-Wing or anything like that, because we know X-Wing is doing, X-Wing does really, really well. But I'm talking about the basically GW up top, then Privateer, and then it's usually a lot of people say it's Weird or Corvus Belli. So I'm happy to just include those two in the conversation and say, okay, that's the number 3 spot. Is they're going to be, is there going to be another company mentioned when we talk about the number 3 spot? Right now, it's Weird and Corvus Belli, but I really think that Guild Ball Guild Ball will be included in that 3 spot. The way it's taking off, I think Guild Ball will be, like, people will talk about Guild Ball. And you know, they're going to do the same thing with like the worldwide rankings and all that stuff. And I think they are actually, I think they already have. They have, you know, official tournaments and criteria for qualifying for tournaments. Then you got Steam Forged Games, which is looking to do its own, basically its own gaming con and have its own world championship for Guild Ball. So, you know, considered all that together, I make the argument that Guild Ball is very well on its way to becoming a quote unquote thing for miniature games. Wrath of Kings, don't think it will become a thing, at least not for a little while. Wrath of Kings has to wake up. It has to, there are people, like I said, there's a small and, you know, somewhat growing community of people that are discovering this game or getting it or cracking open their Kickstarters finally and starting to play and get the game. In my case, I went ahead and did that early, but I did not understand the game enough, left it by the wayside for a while, and now I've just come back to it. I'm really glad that you know, that Phil came back and picked it up, because I would have easily just walked away from this game. And I guess that just goes to show me that, yeah, I can. It's easy enough for me personally to pick up a game and paint 2 factions and then and at least try to teach people from a rudimentary sense. But nothing really happens until you get 2 or more people that get into a game and learn a game. Let's see. Some of the Warhammer Hordes crowd have jumped over to Guild Ball. It has caused an argument or 2 on certain forums. I believe it. Let's see. Would be cool to see a sports game break into one of the biggest game companies. Yeah. I don't know. By the way, any Blood Bowl fans here? I will raise my hand and say I've been a longtime Blood Bowl fan. And you know, obviously we knew about GW picking up their specialist games line again. And last week they were showing off some production photos of the new Blood Bowl box set, right? And you know, some people are hype over it. Some people are a little bit jaded by it. I am cautious about it. I'm cautious about it. I was one of those people that was there when you know, LRB the LRB came about. And you know, and I played most of my Blood Bowl with a healthy disdain for GW abandoning Blood Bowl. So it was part of the appeal for me was, hey, this is an abandoned game, and what a good game it is. So having played like that, and then to see GW come back and say, no, it's our game now. You know, I have mixed feelings about that. I hope this is what happens. I don't think this is what happens, but if you ask me, this is what I hope will happen. I hope that GW will put together their box set, and they'll put some fantastic miniatures in the box, and they'll show people, they'll reach out and show a new generation of Blood Bowl players what the game is about. But I hope that GW will do what GW prefers to do, and that is they will stick with the quote-unquote basic rules for the game. In other words, in the Blood Bowl, the old box set, they had basic rules and advanced rules, right? basic rules were basically, you know, here's how you throw a block, here's what you're going to do, and you could play a game with the basic rules, and it's simple, and it's fast, and it plays great for standalone. And then it says, well, if you want to play the advanced rules, here's the advanced rules. And they put the, you know, at the time, I think that was like the rulebook version 2, you know, right before LRB came about, right? So what I'm hoping that they do is they put in basic rules, and then they say, instead of putting advanced rules, what would be cool, and I don't think GW is going to do this because they like to own what they own. It would be cool if they said, hey, if you want to play the advanced rules or campaign rules, we're going to do a living online rule book, and we're going to involve the Blood Bowl rules committee. Totally don't see them doing that, though. It's what I wish they would do. It's what I wish they would do, because in that situation, everybody wins. GW gets to sell its units. They get to bring more people into the game, and Blood Bowl becomes a packaged game that a lot of new people pick up and like. Meanwhile, the diehards, the guys that have been around Blood Bowl for years and years and years and enjoy that spirit of independence that is Blood Bowl, and appreciate the fact that there was a rules committee and that Blood Bowl was such a community-driven game for so long, they win in that they get new models and they still get to play Blood Bowl. They still get to play something that at least resembles the LRB rulebook. I don't see that happening, though. I think what GW is going to do is they're gonna step in and say the game is this way, and this way, and the community is going to go, no, it isn't, and they'll continue on. They'll buy the models, but they're going to continue on, you know, from the standpoint of the NAF and all that. They'll continue on the path that they're already on. That's my prediction. I think GW will still try to GW it. They'll still try to say, no, it's all ours, and here's how you're supposed to play Blood Bowl now. And I think the established crowd is going to say, no, it's not. We're not going to play that way. And we're going to continue that way. So let's see. Blood Bowl release looks cool. Blood Bowl still has a solid following here, and there are still regular leaks. Curious to see what happens. Yep. GW, this is all David O'Connell. GW will likely dumb it down, looking for a new market. Look what happened to Dreadfleet / Manowar. Yep. That's what I think they'll do. They'll dumb it down. But there's a way that they could dumb it down and still not piss off their fans. They could dumb it down and say, here are the basic rules of the game, and do exactly what they did with the last package version with the basic rules. And then for advanced or tournament rules, then they can point them at the BBRC. I think what's going to happen, more than likely what's going to happen, is the BBRC will dissolve because GW will, well, no, I don't know. I don't know, man. I can't say that. I don't know exactly what will happen. I do think that GW will piss off the old guard in one way or another. So there will be like a separate drive to keep LRB6 alive. But who knows? Just need to do a little bit of highlighting on the black. So yeah, for sure GW will dumb it down. Will GW leave the door open for BBRC? That's my question. Me personally, I don't plan on giving. I haven't given GW money for models in many, many years. Maybe call it 10 or more. And I don't plan on doing that. I don't plan on buying the new Blood Bowl set unless, unless I really, really like the quality of the minis or something like that. But I'm not just gonna jump on board and fanboy because GW screwed the game up originally. So I don't trust them to really do a good job with this new version. And I really hope I'm wrong. Am I going to want to pay GW prices for a game that was totally free? No. But I don't know. Will GW use the cease and desist letter to snuff out all other Blood Bowl rules? More than likely. Now here's the interesting thing. You know what's going to win in that case? Guild Ball. Dread Ball. Those games, because the established crowd will move towards those games. If they're like, okay, screw you then, GW, you're not going to let us play LRB6? Screw you. I mean, look at me. I'm picking up Guild Ball. And frankly, that is one of my agendas, is to, I'm picking up Guild Ball because if I don't like what GW does to Blood Bowl, I still have Guild Ball. That and Guild Ball is a great game on its own merits. So, all right. Looking pretty good. Previous behavior of GW would suggest that once they are interested in something, they tend to bring the lawyers. Agreed. Yeah, totally see that part coming. So, okay, so now let's do a little highlight in the hair, and then we'll wash the hair. And then we're just about done. Oops, that's the wrong highlight. I don't want that color. I want a color called and now I can't find it. One day I will organize my paints. Oh, that's not it. I know I keep saying that. Nope, that ain't it. Looking for my golden yellow color. I mean, I could use that lemon yellow, but golden yellow looks more correct. Yeah, GW will bring the lawyers in to make sure that the folks who, the very reason why Blood Bowl will see success, and the very reason why Blood Bowl has carried exposure for the past 2 decades are its diehard fans. So yeah, I know I'm being cynical, but I fully expect GW to screw that crowd. And I consider myself a member of that crowd. It would be nice to have an official SLAN team. I don't know. Will the GW models be better than the stuff that, from Willy and Grebost, RNS Studio, Shadow Forge? I don't even know how many of those are are still around. I know Impact is. And Impact is distributing a lot of those older labels. I'd say in terms of raw quality, obviously GW will be better. The one issue I think GW will have is the miniatures won't have nearly the character that these other manufacturers had, because the other manufacturers are saluting the old GW character. The very reason that Blood Bowl was such a popular game is that it was a tongue-in-cheek parody of American football. And so, there was a comical element to the game. And I don't think GW just I don't think they have the capacity to be funny. They no longer have that. When we saw the leaked photo of the human player and the dwarf player, you know what I thought? I was like, okay, that's a good sculpt with absolutely no character to it. The orc in particular. If you look at GW orcs, piss me off to no end. And it's not that they're bad. They're not bad sculpts. In fact, they're good sculpts. They're good, beefy, like sculpts. But if you look at orcs in current 40K, they all look exactly the same. They all look exactly the same. They have no character at all. Right? Oh, this one has big rockets. This one has big spikes. It doesn't matter. They all look the same. There's no grinning ones. There's no funny ones. There's no clown. There's no sad. They have no expression other than, because that's all GW understands, is like everything is buff. Everything has war. Right? Yeah, it's all grimdark. Exactly. That's not the kind of orcs I want to play Blood Bowl with. I don't want to play Blood Bowl with a bunch of characterless orcs. I'm playing Blood Bowl because I want to play hilarious looking orcs. I want to play orcs that have, that are grinning, that have expression, that have character. And if you look at RNS Studio sculpts, those have character. They have individual character. And that's why I looked at those pieces and I was not impressed. But once again, let me just say, cautious optimism. So, yeah, it's all grimdark. Man. If they do it right, I will hop on this feed and personally apologize to GW. You know what? I'll do you one better. If Blood Bowl comes out and I like Blood Bowl, because I'm not paying for it, I'm gonna have somebody who pays for it demo the game for me. Or at the very least, I'll dive into the rules. And if I actually like what I see, I will paint a GW model on this feed. How about that? Okay, let's do that. That way, I'm not just talking shit right now. I'm more than happy to do that. If I'm wrong, and GW actually does a good job launching Blood Bowl, they don't even have to pay homage to the fan base. They can say, F you guys, here's the rules, you have to play this way. And as long as it's actually good, I will eat my words and I will paint for the very first time in the history of this show, possibly the history of this channel. Oh no, yeah, the history of this channel, I will paint a GW model. I don't know what GW model I'll paint. I don't know. I know I have a few lying around the house that I've just never been able to get rid of. But yeah, I will totally do that. It would be awesome if they got it right. It really would be. It would be so good if they got it right. I just don't see it. I don't see how they would do it right. Am I just being too cynical? Am I being grimdark? I don't know. I just don't see it. So at this wash, I'm going to give her the appearance of kind of brownish roots, like her hair had kind of bleached out on its ends. You know, like a modern day woman who bleaches her hair. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So I think that's where I'm going to take the miniature tonight. I'm going to do a real quick snow job on it. So I'm just going to use this like cheap foam snow. This stuff is not very good. It's not a very good product. You're actually better off doing the old trick with baking soda to do snow, because this just doesn't have enough texture to it. I think this could be the same stuff that they're using as plastic putty. But I'm just going to put a dab on there and one here. This is more like fluffy snow. So I'm just going to do a couple areas like that. And then I'm just going to spread it out a little bit with this trash brush. Late, hello. Oh, hey, what's up, David? You missed my Blood Bowl tirade, which wasn't really a tirade. It's more of me being cynical, yet trying and failing, trying to feel optimistic about their Blood Bowl, their upcoming Blood Bowl repackage re-release. Probably a little more snow than I wanted, but there you go. It's got a little texture to it. Okay. So yeah, it is late at night. I am going to be calling it here in just a minute or two. So let's get the black out. So here's the miniature I was working on tonight, Iron Eyes from Wrath Kings. I'm telling you, I'm sorry I'm so fanboy, guys, but I'm really, really enjoying Wrath of Kings. I'm like itching. I need to play another game with somebody who understands that, has their own rule book and understands the rules. It's just so hard. I don't think there's another like Wrath of Kings player in Orange County currently. If there is, speak up, man. Let me know. So you share my cynicism, David Luff. If Blood Bowl's from GW, I would not hold my breath. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off here. Oh, shoot. It looks okay. I'll pull that off here. And actually, I'm just going to barely put it on there. And paint the black in. Some of these werewolf models are awesome. The Shieldbreaker model is like one of my favorite models. And Duke Anton, also really cool looking model. So I'm looking forward to paint that stuff. But for now, I do have a skirmish-sized vampire army. So I'm pretty happy about that. Then once I add, Ravenscar mercenaries, or more vamps, probably Ravenscar mercenaries though. Then I'm going to have enough Goritzi to field a battle-sized army without having to field any werewolves if I don't want to. The 2-player starter set coming out in March will be Werewolves and Ashmen. So if you play Nasir and you want a heavy Ashmen build, or if you play Goritsi and you want to play more Werewolves, should be a good set to pick up. Okay. What else can I be doing here for Iron Eyes? She's basically done. I could do a couple of like lighter blonde streaks in the hair, but the hair is still wet from the wash. So I can probably, I don't know, I could probably sneak in 1 or 2. So I'm going to just do a little bit. I'm just going to do a couple of streaks of yellow ochre. Nothing striking. Just like a little highlight there. So I'm just going to pick out a few of the areas here to put down this highlight. I'll do a little highlight on the back. It's a cool braid she's got. Oops. Very cool. Okay. And with that, my friends, I think we are just about ready to call it a night. I do have one more human-sized model to paint for Goritsi. It is Lord Hob. There's this model. So fun little quick Iron Eyes job there. I'm going to show you guys the Lord Hob miniature. He's just primed right now. It looks kind of cool. What a great looking Frostgrave miniature this guy's going to be. I'll probably use him for both. I'm going to be using a lot of stuff for multiple games, but Frostgrave, like I can use my Guild Ball team for Frostgrave. I'm excited about that. So anywho, that's going to do for this video. I think it's time to go to bed, guys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And yeah, we'll see you next week. We'll do a little bit more painting. And until then, have a good one, guys. And we'll see you on the next one.